Yep.
And so we'll go ahead and open the meeting. And the first agenda item is the approval of minutes. And I checked with Debbie Bourneval last week, and the only minutes that have not been approved were minutes for April 29th and minutes for June 11th, which are online. And if there are no corrections or omissions, I'd entertain a motion to approve both the April 29th minutes and the June 11th minutes.
So moved.
Okay, Rich has made the motion. Is there a second?
Second. I'll second.
And that's Mike, I guess.
Sure.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion's carried. The first item on the agenda for tonight has to do with getting permission to sell the Suburban vehicle that the fire department has. And Glenn Clark's with us tonight, and so Chief Clark, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we have it's a 1987 Chevy Suburban that we had gotten a while back to use as our transport. The chief was going to try to get on, but he's having a hard time getting on. So basically, we're using it for them to go back and forth to school. We put a bunch of money into it, but it's just been sitting for the past year and a half. So rather than sit there and have it go to rot because it's sitting outside, we figured we'd just get rid of it.
You don't really have a need for it at this point?
Not at this point, no. It's 33 years old, so I mean, we can't use it for an emergency vehicle.
Okay. So you're asking for permission to sell it. Is this going to be sold at auction or private sale?
Well, I don't know if the commission had come up with it, but I would suggest just doing a bid thing where somebody can give sealed bids and highest one takes it. That would be my recommendation. Because if we send it off to the auctions, it takes up to a year by the time we even see anything.
Yeah, I'd say if you're going to put it out to auction, I think it should be on our town website.
Oh, absolutely.
And then anybody else that you want to send out messages to on it.
Correct.
I wouldn't think we'd be getting much for a 33-year-old car.
No.
Unless we find that one person who thinks it's a classic.
Right.
I don't know. That's a pretty cool truck.
Yeah, it's all straight axle. It's an actual truck.
Yep.
It's 3/4 ton. So.
Okay. Is there anybody opposed to selling this?
No.
No.
Okay. All right, then I'd entertain a motion to allow the fire department to sell the Suburban vehicle at a, well, I would say it's like a private auction because it's not going to be in the newspaper, but it will be out on our public sites. And I would think if the fire department has a public site, they could use that as well. Okay, Glenn?
Sure.
George? We can.
Yeah?
I think we can, George.
Could
Okay.
we use the sign in front of the fire department?
Why
We
not?
can do that too.
Yeah.
We can
that
just-
way everybody who's driving
we
by
can
will
just-
see it.
Yeah, we can just put it right out front too with a sign on it saying it's up for an auction. We can give the date when the commission decides they want to do it, and where they got to bring the bids to.
Yeah, I think
Can
they
you
should
hear
have.
me?
I think they should have sealed bids.
Yeah, Jimmy, the chief is here now.
Okay. And Jimmy, did you hear what Glenn said? Is that the vehicle hasn't been utilized for the last year and a half. And rather than allow it to deteriorate, you're asking for it to be sold.
That's correct. I'm in total agreement. I think we've only used it once in the past year and a half, and that was for a fleeting moment. So yeah, that's what Glenn and I talked about. It's been sitting there just collecting dust, so we might as well, get rid of it.
All right. Just try to get as much circulation as you can on that, and then I think you're gonna have to let everybody know when the bids are gonna be open, and that they will be sealed bids.
Perfect. Will do. We can do that.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the sale of the Suburban by the fire department?
So moved.
Okay, was that Mike or Adam?
Adam.
Second.
Okay, and who seconded?
Rich second. Rich.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
now, the last item that I have on the agenda is a discussion that was raised to me by Glenn about either a purchase or a lease of a 10-wheel truck, plow truck, or a dump truck. So Glenn, do you want to explain where you are on this?
Yes. What we have, which is what I wasn't wishing to do, is come forward to you guys at this time. But one of our trucks is a 2010 International, developed a problem. So I sent it off to the International dealership, and he came back with the quote of $18,341 to repair it. So at that time, I said, halt, don't do anything to it. It's apart right now. Because the truck itself, if we were to trade it in, if we did all that work to it, we would get around $14,000 for the truck. So it's not feasible to, I would think, not to put that kind of money into it. The truck itself is there's a lot of rot to the truck as far as components. I have replaced the computer in the thing a couple of years ago. They go all the time. I'm going to be coming back to you for a body for the truck, so that's another $65,000 that has to add to the list. So one of the things that I did was I said, let's look into, speaking with George, I said, let's look into purchasing a new truck just to replace this one without repairing. So I did that. So we didn't do a bid process. We usually do, we just get a quote from vendors. We got 3 of them to replace the truck. I've gone through, one was a Mack truck. I got a price just for a cabin chassis, and then I was going to have to do the body that, like what we did on the last body that I got from you. But that would bring it, it's not comparable to the 2 that we put on the list. So
What are we talking about, the price on the Mac?
the Mack was $116,000 just for the chassis alone. It would have cost us about another $90,000 to add a dump body onto it and then a plow. So by the time we got done doing all that stuff, we're in the same area as we are. But that truck has a 350 horsepower. It's less horsepower than these other 2. So
And what you're saying is that with our hills in Thomaston, 350 horsepower is not enough?
no, when you're dealing with a 10-wheeler, you're putting a lot of weight onto it. This is an $80,000 GVW truck, so there's a lot of weight to this truck. And everything is, as you know, is all hills. I mean, Rich lives on one. Everybody lives on a hill, So the last 10-wheeler we had was 300 horse. And that truck did like 5 miles an hour going up the road plowing. And our thing when we plow in the wintertime is you need to push the snow off as far as you can to open up the road because it'll keep piling. So so I put feelers out there. I got a quote from International. They went back and forth a couple times. That's the company that we used for the last truck that we got. And their price is $202,145. Their horsepower was 430 horsepower. And then these were all with stainless steel bodies because we talked about that. That's where we're going to go, so we don't have this problem. So next time we're only just changing chassis. I did go through it. This is a 7-year a 7-year lease purchase with no buyout at the end. So the payments for that were $31,747. So then I got into Freightliner, which Freightliner is a state bid contract, and their truck, which is 470 horsepower. Now, the thing with horsepowers could be, one could be 500 and the other could be 450, but it's the torque range that really matters. And the torque range in between the two is 100. It's 100 foot-pounds, which is a lot. So the Freightliner is the one that came out on top. I know it's a little more money. You'll hear what it is. Right now, the Freightliner is $209,524.02. That's a 7-year lease with a $30,000 buyout at the end of the 7 year. The thing with the Freightliner is we have a whole year to pay for this truck. So in other words, if we got the truck, say, next week, we wouldn't have to make our first payment until next year at this time. So it's actually something that could put into the budget. So we're actually not paying out anything right now. The nice thing about the Freightliner is Freightliner offers a maintenance program. So this truck comes with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. And with their program that they had, and I don't know if you guys have this stuff that I gave out, but it's on page 19, Stace. I don't know if you have that info. But we don't have to do any maintenance to the truck at all. They come, they get the truck.
So they take care of general maintenance, and it's a 7-year warranty.
Yes.
On the engine, but the transmission's less, right?
Transmission's 5 years, yes.
5 years on the transmission?
Yes. I reached out to International too, and I advised them that this was 7 years, and they said, well, we'll give you 7 years too. And they gave us $10,000 for a trade-in on our truck, but by the time they got done, they were up to, because they actually charged us for the extra warranties. The Freightliner, they're going to give us $5,000 for the truck as a trade-in. But if we were to go with the Freightliner with the maintenance program, it's called the payment in arrears. In other words, you got a year to make that first payment, and the first payment would be $34,351. That's what we'd be paying every year. And then there's a buyout at the end. And the nice thing about the buyout at the end is that if we decided we don't want the truck, they will actually pay us the $35,000 and take the truck. So then we can go into another truck if we want to. Reason why I come forward with this, I just don't think it's prudent to spend. I mean, right now we're spending almost $19,000 to fix a truck that's not even worth that. And that's not to say that they don't find something else while they're working on the truck. So that's why I come forward to you about that.
How much are the monthly payments on the Freightliner, or excuse me, the annual payments on the Freightliner are $34,351?
18, yes, that's with the preventive maintenance program.
Okay, so let's just say 34.5. And we're going to do that if we take that for 7 years. That's $241,500.
Yes.
Am I right?
I think that's the number, yes.
Plus, don't forget the 30,000 buyout, George.
Right. So that's at 271 roughly. It's going to cost us if we keep the truck. So now the international is 202,000, and there is no eighth payment on that. So it's 202,000.
Right.
Is that 202 with the 10,000 trade-in?
Yes, 202, 145.
And do they have a maintenance program, Glenn?
No. So
And how much do you think the annual maintenance is on a 10-wheel dump?
I did everything on it. I priced it all out. It's a value to about $26,000.
Per year
No,
No.
for the 7 years.
for the 7 years?
Yes.
Okay, so
It's actually, I figured it out too, that if we went with the maintenance program on the Freightliner, that we're actually only going to be paying out $538 at the end. The difference between the maintenance and not taking the maintenance.
Yeah, okay. The only thing I'm questioning, Glenn, is, it looks similar if there's no buyout, but if there's a buyout, then I think the International is a good bit cheaper.
yeah, about 25,000, right, George?
Yeah, but,
Did you add did you add that 26 onto the International?
Yeah, the 202 plus the 25,000 is 227, and George was at 270 with the Freightliner.
yeah, so it's
It's
about
almost 50,000.
4,000 more. The, one thing we're hoping for on these things is we're hoping that, we're gonna get more than 10 years, correct?
Absolutely.
So if we get more than 10 years, I would think we'd be interested in the, keeping this going. If International, after the 7 years, we keep the truck, correct? We buy it for $1?
Yeah. That's correct.
And we'd have to buy, I would think we'd want to keep it for longer, so I think you'd have to add that buyout into the figures, which gets you up to about 271,000 versus 227,000. That's about $44,000 difference.
I have a question. So
Yep.
that $34,000 buyout or $31,000 buyout is not part of this price here from Freightliner?
It is in there. It's on
They're
page
showing
19.
214,000 on page.
2.
Page is this? Page 2.
Yeah, but if you go
That's
to
the price of the truck.
correct before, but if you go down the bottom, there's a
So
$5,000
you have to add the
trade.
34,000 or whatever that is to the 214 less
So-
the 5, so 209,000.
Right. So if you figure out, George, if you figure it out, not doing the maintenance program, what do the numbers come out to? I mean, there's 7 years, it's 30,578.55. And then there's a buyout at the end.
We're definitely gonna, I mean, we've got to pretend we're gonna buy it because we want this thing to go on more than 10 years. So I think you have to take the 209, divide it by 7 and add 30 to it.
Right.
Come up with your annual payments. So
I get almost 276 for the Freightliner
that's with the buyout.
with the buyout.
Okay. And they both now are gonna have a similar warranty, correct?
Yeah, the International sent us an updated one. I didn't give to you because he just gave it to me this morning.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
I know. You told me about it though yesterday, that they were
Yeah. So
they were
they're
gonna
at,
shoot the pot.
give me 2 seconds here and I will pull it up on my, I didn't even have a chance to write it down. But it's 7 years, for the drivetrain and 7 years on the transmission now.
7
Oh.
years instead of 5 years, which is what Freightliner's giving.
Right.
So
So
they're
you're
gonna give
actually getting 2 years more on the International,
Yes.
on the transmission.
on the transmission and on the drivetrain.
Well, they're gonna do 7 years on the drivetrain with the Freightliner. It's
Correct,
5 years on the transmission.
from Freightliner. 7
Well,
years
that's
from
Well,
International.
That's
It-
a,
it-
but that's
Go
an
ahead.
Allison transmission warranty. They're the ones warrantying that transmission.
Right.
Right,
So with the International, we had to, in this new revised quote, we had to buy the extended warranty. It wasn't like, it was part of this package.
right, but it's included in the 202?
Yes.
Okay, so it's in there.
So the warranty, 8,400,000 miles. So be to 7 years. It's the same thing.
So it's better on the transmission, otherwise it's the same.
Correct.
Correct.
And the difference, the 10,000 trade-in on the International, that's built in already into the 202,000 figure?
Yes.
All right, and the 5,000 trade-in is built into Freightliners.
Yes.
Okay.
So it sounds like the International is going to be significantly less money in the long run.
I agree with that.
So,
If we're keeping the truck for 10 years,
right. And I mean, Allison is a great transmission. They're giving a 7-year warranty. In International, Glenn, what motor is in that?
International motor.
No, is it like the DT4? What is it?
No, it's called-
DT466 or?
It's called an A26. It's been around for about 5 years.
Okay. And is that a sleeve diesel?
Yes. I would say it is. I don't have that paperwork in front of me. Most of them are now.
Okay, and the same with the Freightliner?
Yes, the Freightliner has a Detroit in it. DD13 it's called.
Okay. So, I mean,
One of the things we should talk about a little bit, if we decide to recommend on the International, the first annual payment is due on delivery, Glenn?
Yes.
So that's roughly what, 31,000 or so. So we would
Yes.
have to pay that on delivery, which is probably going to be in about 4 months.
Well, it'll be probably December in that time frame, depending on when town meeting is and when they do the.
Yeah, so 4 or 5 months anyway.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would be 1 year on the Freightliner. You wouldn't pay that until maybe next December.
Correct. If we receive the truck this December, we wouldn't have to make the first payment until next December.
Okay. So but then everything is stretched out for 8 years beyond that.
Yeah.
So the question is, if we went with the International, we would have to, this has to go before, the purchase would have to go before a public meeting. And we would have to fund it because it's not in our budget. So we would either fund it out of surplus or capital, or reserve. Well, it is the surplus reserve. It's too big for contingency, I think, but that first payment at least would have to come out of that, and it would have to be within about 4 or 5 months. And then I think, I talked to Glenn about this. I really think that in our next budget season, we should be talking about having a capital contribution for vehicles on a yearly basis, because I think we have, 3 more 2010 vehicles?
Yes, we have let's see, this one's getting replaced. We got one, two, we actually got a 2004, a 2006, the 2010 that we have, another 2010, and a 2011.
So this issue isn't going to go away. And I think in our next budget go around, I know it's kind of premature, but I'm thinking we should come up with a figure that we can put aside each year and budget for this, because you can't really bond a truck unless you have a lot of other things to bond. And the cost is just astronomical. So no matter what, we have to pay this. If we go with the international, we have to approve maybe taking it out of surplus, the first payment out of surplus. And then we'll budget next year for the following payments.
We're actually going into the second payment on this truck that we bought last year.
Yeah.
So that's on a 5-year, lease.
Right.
I'm leaning towards the international myself.
I'd like to make a couple of comments. Mike?
Sure.
So, we're looking at the international and we're looking at the Freightliner. I don't know if you guys recall, some of those older trucks that we have are internationals. And we've had some pretty major problems with them. I am concerned about that. I'm concerned about that brand. There's been a lot of engine problems as opposed to the Detroit, which is a kind of a tried and true motor in the Freightliner. I realize that we're talking about, what do we say, about 25,000, 30,000 more?
About 44,000.
What's that?
I think it's around 44,000.
40. Yeah, that is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I still felt like I needed to say this.
Yeah.
We also, the last truck that we purchased, we had some issues with some of the components on that international that it took quite some time to get resolved. I believe, what was it, 4 months, Glenn?
Yeah.
Or
Yes, it was.
before they would give us any kind of an answer. So I think part of what we have to look at here, and granted, we're still talking about a lot of money in the end, is the fact that we're going to be working with the same people that took 4 months to answer one question. And,
Well, that brings me
something
to a
right.
question, Mike. What dealership is this for international? And can we go to a different dealership in Connecticut for international?
It wasn't the international problem. It was with the body company that
Okay.
that we did. It just took us a while. Myself and Ed had to intervene a little bit, and in the end, it was done. But
Okay,
If I
so
can
it wasn't
interject
an
briefly.
international issue, it was just the body issue?
If I
Go
could
ahead, Ed.
interject briefly, part of the problem was the guy that Glenn was dealing with. We had to kind of kick it up to the top, and once we got to the top of the food chain, that is the owner of the company, he began to intercede and things began to happen more. And I think Glenn would concur with that as well. He's worked hard to try to satisfy us on the body. It has been reconciled. To say that we would not have any problems in the future, I can't say that absolutely, but I do know the owner of the company has indicated numerous times to both myself and Glenn that he realizes there was a problem in the past, and that would, he assured us, for what that assurance is worth, that that would not be the case going forward. Should we have any problems, we go directly to him.
It was the body issue. Was that from rotting from salt?
Sander. It was the sander that was to go onto the hook lift vehicle that we purchased. That was the problem. And I can't say anything more than that, but it was resolved. It took a while, but we did get it resolved to Glenn's satisfaction.
Hey, Glenn?
yes,
The two vehicles, the Freightliner and the International, they're both
Yes.
getting a stainless steel body, correct?
yeah, absolutely.
Is it the same body? So, and is it from this same company that you dealt with before for the International body? or is it a different truck body company in Connecticut?
No, they have their own, owns Park City, which they are the ones that we just did the last truck with. They have their own, it's called the Dura Class. So it would be an oddball body amongst the whole fleet. Freightliner, deals with equipment services out of Hartford,
Right.
which they just put up a new building right behind Freightliner. So that's how those trucks get combined.
Isn't there a international dealer also right near Freightliner in Hartford? And couldn't they go to equipment service also?
Yeah, but that's not, in order to get that, it's not like we went to international corporate to get these quotes. These were right from those dealerships. That'd be like one of Modern Motors over there. This is what they're going to offer. When you go to a different one, it's something different. When we get in, unfortunately, when we get into these type of things, that's what I was trying to do with the Mac. The Mac, I was going to buy just the chassis and then have truck builders in Terryville build the body. But I don't think I have the truck for this winter, and I need the truck for this winter. So that's why I was trying to deal with these other two.
And you
Both of
went
these
to
companies. What's that?
Was it Nutmeg International you went to in Hartford?
This international dealer? No, this international is Heinz Brothers out of Southbury.
Right, so I'm saying, can't you, because I know in the past, I used to know the guys at Nutmeg International. They used to deal a lot with equipment service in Hartford. So couldn't you get a quote from Nutmeg International?
The international chassis is going to be the same, and then they'll cart it off to whatever body company that we decide.
Okay.
So in the quotes that you get, it's a breakdown of what each company's offering. So they'll tell you how much the chassis was, and then they'll tell you how much the bodies were.
Gotcha.
What was I going to say? The one thing, like the Freightliner has a heavier duty front axle, so their front axles are 20,000 pounds, where international is only 18. That's little things like that throughout the whole thing that I went through and I looked through. I mean, they're close. Gear ratios are good. Frames, each one, it's like buying a Corvette and buying, a Mazda. I mean, they all have their own special things that are unique to just them. I mean, I think this is when I talked to George, I don't know, a month ago, but I've been on this thing fiercely. I mean, we did have the issue with Park City, not international. Right. Unfortunately, the guy that owns Heinz Brothers owns Park City. There was a whole, I'm not going to go into whole detail. It was like First Selectman Ramon said, it got resolved.
Fair enough.
That bothers me that was that way. If we do follow into it, there's got to be something that says, this truck will be delivered in so many days. Otherwise, that's something we can, if we need to. I don't think we're going to though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm stuck on that $44,000 difference between the two vehicles. I mean, that's
absolutely. I know that. I know, and we knew that was going to be, somewhat of a game changer.
I mean, that's.
I just want to throw in now. When we came up with that difference, we took the 202,000 in for the international, and we added about 25,000 for what you thought would be the general maintenance, not the warranty work, but the general maintenance.
Absolutely.
And that got us up to 227. And without an eighth year payment. So we're looking at, say, roughly 227 on the international, and on the Freightliner, we had 209 plus the buyout of roughly 30. What was there something else that I'm missing here? Because do you have to pay for that the service, the general service, or is that included in the
No,
sale price?
when we're paying for that out of, it's included in the truck, but the payment is what's on that page that I told you, that 34,351. So the payment goes from 30,578.55 to 34,351.18.
After
if we
adding
didn't-
all of the other pieces.
The
to it.
maintenance.
Okay.
So if we didn't add the maintenance onto it, and
All right.
you just did the 30,000, the payments are actually less, other than we have the buyout of 31,000 at the end.
Yeah, so if we take the 209 price, we have to add the 34,000 to that to get the regular maintenance.
Correct.
Yeah, all right.
No.
So that,
No, if we didn't get yeah, right, you have to add the 26. So you're actually correct. Yes, I'm trying to do three things at once.
Okay.
Sorry.
yeah, that's all right. So we got 209,000 plus the buyout of 30 gets you to 239. And then the added part for the regular maintenance is 34. That gets us up to 272, 273 versus 227 on the international.
So what's the difference, George?
It's over 40,000, 40.
Yeah, I mean, so for $40,000, we can self-insure the vehicle basically.
If we didn't do the maintenance, we'd be at 245,952 for, if I'm understanding this correctly.
Right.
Yeah, you take
For
34,000
the
for
Freightliner. Yeah,
and if we didn't do it on the international, we'd be down to the 202.
Right. Because
So-
we added in that
Right.
$25,000. So no
Right.
matter how you slice it,
it's
still
40,000. Yeah,
$40,000. I say we
Right.
self-insure it, and if we don't put in $40,000 worth of repairs and on top of the 25 that we're guesstimating, we're ahead of the game at the end of the day.
Well, I think Glenn worked by going back to international. I mean, he did us a favor because they extended their warranty from 5 years to 7 years, and they included a 7-year on the transmission. So we actually got a better deal because Glenn went over and talked to him about it. So that certainly helps.
Yeah.
What's everybody's general feeling? I know Adam said looks like the international.
well, my initial thought, this is Mike, my initial thought was get out of internationals because we've just had so much past problems with them as we were using them, which obviously there's downtime issues when we don't have a vehicle that's reliable and everything. But $40,000 is a lot of money, and it's really hard to get around that. So I think ultimately, even though I think Freightliner is a better truck, I think we would have to go with the international for that difference. Unless, Glenn, there's some hard thought as to why that's really not the best bet on your end. You've got to work with this truck. That's most important.
Well, yes, I know I got to work with this truck, but it's, it is what it is. I didn't think it was going to be that far apart, when we were trying to compare the numbers and stuff. The Freightliner, in my opinion, is, I think, a better truck. Will the international do the job? Of course it will. I mean, anything brand new will. Heinz Brothers has been good to us for maintenance-wise. When I had to have stuff done, they stepped up to the plate and took care of it. When we had three trucks down, I have no problem with them. They may issues with the other thing, and I'm trying to be very professional about this and what is the right thing to do, and not just because you like the color pink versus the color blue, because basically that's what we're getting down to now. 7-year warranties on everything. I mean, if everything's covered, what are we paying out? We got to pay $26,000 extra. I mean, the idea of the Freightliner where you didn't have to make a payment until next year, I thought was, a nice thing that, you can put that in and you're paying 8 payments versus 7.
Hey, Glenn, does International offer a maintenance program that you can inquire
No.
about? They
No,
don't offer it?
not that I know of. I mean, I've been up and honest because these aren't sealed bids. These were just quotes that I got.
Right.
Did have conversations with him, and when I talked to one, I told them the same information. They wanted to sit down and look at each other's thing. I said that's not going to happen. I said, but I could tell them which one I thought was better at the time, and then that's when International came back with theirs, and he says, well, we could do the same thing. So,
Glenn,
yes,
Mike here again.
yes.
Outside of the changes that we made after the fact, are both of these companies bidding you numbers that are based on the state bid list, or are these separate from that?
They're separate from that. Freightliner is the state bid. All
Yeah.
right, that's what the state of Connecticut is getting, is nothing but Freightliners now. International, one of the things I did probably about 5 years ago, I think, is I put the town into this buying program, which gives you, it's called Sourcewell right now. I think it was MPJ or something like that. To actually tell you, it's like we bought the groomer. We actually got it through Sourcewell. We actually got it for $10,000 cheaper than we would have paid for otherwise. So International is Sourcewell. So they're both competing bidded prices.
Would it make sense to look at the state bid to see how far off we are from that?
Freightliner is pretty upfront. I mean, he's just, he would tell me if it was something different. I truly believe that. So the one thing else, the state bids are good, but everything in Thomaston is you go through the valley and then everything's up, like straight up, not just, a couple small little hills. The state trucks all deal with the highways. So there's a lot of things that are different. So we have to tailor the truck more to us. So that adds a little cost each time.
I understand. So the state trucks aren't really tailored for our terrain.
Not necessarily. They're more so they can continue on the highway.
Right. Okay.
Rich, how do you feel?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same camp as Mike on this. I remember lots of conversations about the struggles we've had with the internationals. I certainly am for the price difference of the International, especially since we do keep these trucks longer, and the buyout is sort of it's got to be factored in, right? So, but Glenn's point about all the same level of coverage should help us through this. So I think we should go with the International on this one.
Okay. I was happy to hear what they did for Glenn on the warranty, because that's very important as far as I'm concerned. But tonight I heard, I think Adam brought it up, is that the engine being used in the, I guess it's the International, is like new from 5 years ago. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's been out for about 5 years. He said everybody that has it hasn't had any problems. So the one thing with it is it's all covered under warranty now. I mean, that's the biggest issue. Before it wasn't. Right.
And if it's a new engine without problems, then some of the problems we had in the past, we may be able to dodge this time around. So I think I would go with the International as well. If somebody's going to make a motion, I need to know exactly. We're going to have a a 7-year lease purchase. And this would be, if we go with the international, it's going to be with Hein Brothers, Inc.
It's with Heinz Brothers, yes. Heinz Brothers International, yes.
Hein Brothers. I'm looking at the paper. It says Hein Brothers, Inc. And this is for what year would this be? A 2020? 2021?
It's, trying to find that right now. Hold on. I got papers all over.
Yeah.
(2021).
Okay. And it would be for a international 7500. Is that what they call them?
It's called an HV 513.
HD 513.
Henry Victor 513.
Oh, HV 513. And the total price is 202,000.
Yep. Hold on 1 second. I got to pull that back up. Yes,
Yep.
202, 145.
145. And the first payment would be,
The date of delivery.
yeah, but I mean, the first payment is going to be how much?
31,747.
31,747.
Yes.
And does everybody think that that first payment should be taken out of our surplus undesignated funds?
Yes.
I do.
Okay.
Steve Turner says yes.
Okay, Steve. So I'd like to entertain a motion then to authorize the purchase, the lease purchase from Hein Brothers, Inc. of a 2021 International HV 513 10-wheel dump truck with plow for the sum of $202,145.
Hey, George,
Yep,
hold on 1 second.
okay.
Do you have that last fact sheet that I gave you?
I have them here. From Hein, you mean?
Yes. All right. I just want to make sure we're doing the right one because I got 2 of them.
The one dated July 13th, right?
Yep, that was yesterday.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I just want to make sure you're right.
So that's okay?
Yep. Give me 1 second. Working on a new phone here and I'm like, I'm having issues.
Yeah, let's see, the fact sheet I just pulled out was
Should be the
July
ninth page.
6, 2020, so there's another one then, huh?
Yes.
Yes,
I
there's one
emailed
that
it
was
over.
2009. I just want to make sure we're doing the right one here.
Yep.
So the one that I got yesterday is the 2,144. Yes, that number that you were talking is right.
202,145.66.
I saw 145. That's it. I didn't see no 66.
66 cents.
Whatever you came up with the number, yeah. I don't know.
Okay. All right, so is 202,145 the purchase price?
And 66 cents.
Yeah.
Let's just make it 202,146.
Hold on. 202, 145.66 is the correct price.
Okay, so I'm gonna round that to 202,146. We're authorized to buy it for, with a first annual payment of $31,747 to be paid from undesignated funds. And that's because it's not included in our budget, so that first payment has to be taken care of now.
It'll be in
Even
this
though-
year's budget, yeah, when they deliver it.
Well, yeah, we'll have the money that'll come from surplus to pay for it.
Yep.
And then next year, we'll have to budget this.
Do we have to have a meeting on this, George?
There's gonna have to be a town meeting, yes. So we'll send this approval to the selectmen, and then it'll be up to the selectmen to hold a meeting. And like, we're already talking about maybe not having this truck to December, so we really need to kind of get going on this.
Yep.
Otherwise, we'll be in the winter months without one of our trucks, so. All right, is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
We'll move.
Mike.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Okay, who made the motion?
Mike made the motion.
And
Steve Turner seconds. Yep.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep, I appreciate you guys too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll go with it.
Okay. Our regular agenda, we would normally be calling on Tracy. Is Tracy here tonight? Okay, that makes that easy.
Yes, she's here.
She's on mute.
She's muted though.
Oh, she is? Yeah, can we unmute Stacy? Or Tracy, I mean.
I have no idea why you're muted. I'm sorry, Tracy. Oh, no. Okay.
Hi, Tracy.
Hello.
Hey, do you have anything we're brand new in this fiscal year, so is there anything much to talk about?
Not yet. I have some preliminary numbers for, June, but there's still bills coming in every day, so it would be premature to report on how the year ended at this point.
And do you have I should have asked you this. Do you have a problem with us making that first payment on the truck out of undesignated?
No, I think that makes sense.
Okay, thank you. Ed?
I'm here.
Okay,
So,
I knew
yes.
I knew you wouldn't be muted.
No, I unmute myself. You know that. So,
All right,
at any rate, yes, I understand that this will come before the Board of Selectmen. We can pick it up next week and we can move it forward so that we can get the approvals. Because clearly, until the funds are approved in some manner, really no purchase can be made. I believe I may be able, then I'll check on this certainly with Mike Ryback, but I think we could probably still do this with the Board of Selectmen instead of having a physical town meeting. Although we could do that up in the Opera House, I'm sure we would never get large attendance, but I would use the Opera House if at all. So I'll have that discussion with Mike Ryback and the other selectmen to see how they want to proceed. But we'll
Okay.
move on.
good. Thank you. Anything else?
Not from me.
Okay, is there any member comment? Anybody have anything they want to bring up?
Not from me.
Okay, thank you, Rich. Any public comment? Then Steve, I'd entertain a motion.
George,
Yes,
so what constitutes public comment, please?
public comment would be from anybody in the public that wants to say something.
All right, so I'm gonna throw something here. Tell me what you want to. Timmy Quinn had a conversation with you regarding the tanker.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Okay,
Yeah, I guess you guys were gonna have it looked at, according to Timmy, you were gonna have it looked at to see what could be done and then get back to us.
Okay, I was part of that conversation. That's all. I just want to make you aware that to the whole board that it is leaking and we're going to get it looked at and get it patched for the moment, but it looks like it's what we talked about 2 years ago is starting to happen. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, when you get some more details on it, just come on before us.
Great, I will do that. Timmy asked me to bring it up tonight. That's why I was asking. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
sure, thanks. Anybody else have anything that you want to say?
Yep.
Okay, who is this? Hello? Any other member of the public have any comments? Hello?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. It's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion's carried. Thank you all for coming tonight.
Have a
Thank you.
good evening.
And again, Stacy, thanks for your help in all of these meetings.
Not a problem. Take care.
Okay.
All
All right.
right, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Have a
Hey,
good night, everybody.
Take care.
Take care.
And